One reason why science does not like to ask the question, what caused the Big Bang, is exactly because this is not a scientific question since it refers to unobservable causation. Science is about how, not why. Why is a causal question, not a question of observable processes and sequences. Modern science has more or less repudiated causation and replaced it with statistics and probabilities. It has adopted David Hume's skepticism towards causation. Science, technically, does not say A causes B. It says something like, if A is observed, B will probably follow, but C, D, E, are all also possible and, given an enormous number of Is, each alternative will happen with a certain probability. Science is no longer a causal system. According to the high priests and woo-woo gurus of science, it's a dice game. Einstein was treated as a mad old fool for saying, God does not play dice. Dice is simply a code word for non-causation. Science has reduced reality to a casino, to the spin of a roulette wheel. And it is perfectly happy with that. You either accept a causal universe of truth, a universe of sufficient reasons where everything has an explanation, or you accept a probabilistic universe where things do not happen for any reason but merely because they are possible and have a certain probability associated with them. Explanation does not apply to a probabilistic universe. All that happens are that various outcomes are randomly selected from what is possible, although validly establishing what is possible is in fact just as much a problem for science as causation is. We are more likely to encounter outcomes with high probabilities than low probabilities, science says. That's it. There's no such thing as causation. There's no such thing as a reason for things. Things have no explanations and no answers. Things are just statistical and probabilistic happenings, nothing more. Given exactly this attitude, science does not seek to provide a causal explanation for the Big Bang. It is much more interested in saying that the universe is possible and has a certain probability associated with it, hence will be plucked out of the unobservable universe of possibilities. The magical ether, we might say, at some point. It is impossible for any scientist to explain anything about this miraculous system because it is not a system based on explanation at all. Where does the mystical world of unrealized possibilities exist? Where is this supernatural limbo? How can such a thing exist at all? Scientists routinely refer to unreal, abstract, mathematical probability wave functions as if they were actual things rather than merely scientific inventions and fictions with absolutely no connection to reality, given that they are by definition unreal. Science, sad to say, is now irrational in its foundational assertions. It makes insane claims rather than accept a causal order outside science, an order beyond scientific observation and evidence. Science is like this because it subscribes to the bogus philosophy of empiricism and fanatically rejects the philosophy of rationalism. We are rationalists, so we have parted company with the nonsense that the worshippers of scientism spout. They are as crazy as people of religious faith. We can get no sense out of them. It's a futile task to even try. Science need not be like this. It could be converted into causal scientific rationalism rather than probabilistic scientific empiricism, or rationalism. One of our tasks is to restore reason and logic to science. There is a perfect means to do so, mathematics. Science has an extremely bizarre relationship with mathematics. Science cannot do without mathematics, yet has no clue what mathematics is, and has no means, given the scientific method based on observations, of ever finding out. Science is so bad at explanation, it can't even explain itself. It can't explain why it uses mathematics given that it regards mathematics as unreal, abstract, and probably man-made, in some unexplained way. That's science's problem, not ours. We are rationalists who rely on reason and logic. We do not rely on science's bizarre, inexplicable way of doing things. Science relies on a falsification principle which is itself unscientific since it cannot be falsified. Equally, it relies on a verification principle, which is itself unscientific since it cannot be verified. What a joke! Science rests on belief, and nothing else. It has no rational basis. Any reason it happens to exhibit is inherited from the mathematics it uses. No rational person could ever take modern science seriously. It's an affront to reason. It has assassinated reason by playing the demented card of empiricism. It has made human experience into its god. Can there be anything more delusional than human experience? It's staggering that hundreds of years after Descartes, scientists are still promoting the irrationalism of the empiricist ideology. Science is a quasi-religion. It is an absolute faith in empiricism. It is materialistic, atheistic, nihilistic, and ultimately solipsistic, since it says that subjective human experience is the determinant of what is real and what is not. We rationalists regard reason and logic as the determinants of what is real and true, and what isn't. Human experiences are not organs of truth. They are organs of lies, of crazy misinterpretations of reality. Human experiences must be transcended, not indulged. Anyone who asks for evidence, meaning stuff that satisfies human experiences, beliefs and opinions, is a fool. We ask instead, where are your sufficient reasons? And we find that science not only has none, but it actively opposes the principle of sufficient reason, the PSR. This critical basis of rational explanation plays no part at all in the scientific method and workings of science. It is rejected by science. Science is therefore a system of unreason. Nature does not use unreason. It uses reason. Science is false. Science could be true if it aligned itself with mathematics, the language of nature, the language of existence, the ontological expression of the principle of sufficient reason. Bertrand Russell wrote, "Mathematics, rightly viewed, possesses not only truth, but supreme beauty, a beauty cold and austere, like that of sculpture, without appeal to any part of our weaker nature, without the gorgeous trappings of painting or music, yet sublimely pure, and capable of a stern perfection such as only the greatest art can show." Get on board with truth, with stern perfection. Why are you so afraid of it? Don't you want the answer to everything? How can anything, such as science, which rejects the principle of sufficient reason, explain anything? Scientists are useful idiots. They are smug, complacent irrationalists who have no conception of how flawed science is. This is for two reasons. One, the vast majority of them have never practiced science at any serious level, and credulously suck in whatever woo-woo scientific gurus and popularizers feed them. And two, they are philosophically and mathematically illiterate. They have no idea that countless arguments exist that destroy the central claims and pretensions of science. All of these are ignored by science on the basis that they are not scientific, which is like saying that Catholics should ignore all scientific arguments because such arguments are not Catholic. If you can't refute your opponents, what are you defending? Merely your own belief system. Science is now a faith. It's not a serious intellectual subject committed to the search for the truth. It is not taken seriously by truth seekers. Its inherent sophistry is plain for all to see. So, let's return to the causal state before the Big Bang, a state wholly outside the scientific model. This was an immaterial state, outside space and time, since none of these had yet been caused to come into existence. We shall refer to this state as the ontological singularity. This necessarily contained the roots, the potentialities, of everything that we encounter in the world around us, including life, mind, the unconscious, consciousness, qualia, space, time and matter. Absolutely everything originated in this singularity. So what was this ontological singularity? The key to unlocking every mystery. Indeed, what is this singularity given that it hasn't gone away? It's still there. The ontological singularity is eternal. The singularity reflects the conservation of energy because that's what it is. The ontology of the conservation of energy. It can be neither created nor destroyed. Energy, when accurately defined, is the mathematical energy of the singularity. It never runs down, it never degrades. It is perfectly superconductive. It never experiences the spacetime force of friction. It is not affected by space and time since it is not in spacetime. This is pure energy, energy in itself, noumenal energy. It is the energy associated with perpetual motion, in accordance with the first law of motion. Motion will continue forever unless subjected to a contrary force, and since there are no such contrary forces in the singularity, eternal motion logically follows. The singularity that precedes spacetime is a zero-entropy state. It exists at a temperature of exactly absolute zero. It is perfect order. It is not subject to heat, death, or any such thing. It is immune to all of the running down that afflicts the spacetime universe. It is the spacetime universe with all spacetime forces removed, leaving nothing but pure, analytic mathematics, the perfect laws of mind. Science deals with the temporal laws of matter. Pure mathematics furnishes us with the eternal laws of mind. The singularity is made of pure light, pure photons, which are massless, immaterial, outside space and time, unextended, dimensionless, pure frequency, pure energy, always traveling at the same speed. Pure light is pure mathematics. Light is the opposite of matter. Matter can never be accelerated to light speed. Light has exactly the characteristics that Descartes associated with unextended mind. Photons are the carriers of mind. Photons are thoughts in themselves. What are souls? They are complete and consistent sets of photons. A single full set of photons constitutes one soul. There are myriad such souls. The singularity that preceded the Big Bang was comprised of nothing but souls, all of which were and are photonic singularities defined mathematically.